In this part of the course, we're going to explore the three main types of cloud platforms: public cloud, private cloud, and hybrid cloud. Now, while these concepts might seem straightforward at first glance, there's a lot of nuance behind each one that affects how you design, deploy, and manage your workloads. So let's dive in and really get to grips with these cloud models by understanding not just what they are, but how they work and why you might choose one over the other in a real world scenario. Let's start with the public cloud. As the name suggests, this is a cloud platform available to the general public. By definition, the public cloud refers to computing services offered by third party providers over the public internet. These services are accessible to anyone who wants to purchase them, often on a pay as you go basis, which makes them extremely flexible and scalable. When you work with a public cloud platform like Microsoft Azure, Amazon Web Services, or Google Cloud Platform, the provider owns all the hardware, the network infrastructure, and the data center facilities. This means you don't have to worry about physical maintenance, security of the hardware, or the underlying network. Those things are handled entirely by the provider. Think of it like renting an apartment in a high rise building where someone else takes care of the entire structure from the foundation to the roof. All you have to worry about is what goes inside your apartment, how you decorate it, how you manage your utilities, and ensuring that your personal belongings are secure. With public cloud services, you essentially rent computing resources as needed. This model is extremely popular. If I had to estimate, I'd say about 90% of our Azure discussions center around the public cloud. The reason is simple. It allows businesses from startups to large enterprises to get up and running quickly, scale as necessary, and only pay for what they use. It dramatically lowers the barrier to entry for advanced IT services. Now, the public cloud offers a lot of advantages, but it's not without its trade offs. Because the infrastructure is shared among many customers, it requires a robust security and compliance framework on the provider's end to ensure that your data remains isolated and secure. Moreover, while the scalability and flexibility are major benefits, some organizations might have specific regulatory or performance requirements that push them towards a more controlled environment. And that brings us to our next cloud model, the private cloud. The private cloud is quite different from the public cloud in that it is based on hardware and networking resources that are either owned outright by an organization or leased exclusively. In a private cloud environment, computing services are offered over the internet or a private internal network, but they're accessible only to a select group of users rather than the general public. You can think of this as a cloud environment that requires an invitation to access. It's not something you just sign up for with a credit card. Instead, you either build it yourself using on premises infrastructure or you contract with a vendor to provide the service in a dedicated environment. To put it another way, imagine hosting a party in a private mansion where only invited guests can enter. The mansion is fully yours, or you have exclusive rights to it, ensuring that no uninvited guests can sneak in. In the same vein, with private clouds, organizations have complete control over the hardware and the environment. This level of control is particularly important for industries like government, finance, or healthcare, where strict compliance and data sovereignty regulations require that data not be co-located with that of other organizations. For instance, many government agencies use private clouds to ensure that sensitive information remains within controlled premises. Microsoft Azure even offers private cloud solutions for these very scenarios. Take Azure Stack HCI, for example, a product that allows you to deploy a cloud environment on your own hardware. This gives organizations that specific needs, whether it's regulatory compliance, enhanced performance, or maximum customization, the ability to have a cloud experience, but with a dedicated and therefore more secure setup. It's important to note that while private clouds give you higher control and potentially enhanced security, they also come with additional responsibilities. When you own the hardware or have exclusive access, you're responsible for maintaining it. You still need to patch systems, upgrade hardware, and secure your network, much like you would in a traditional on-premises data center. So far, we've looked at public and private clouds as two distinct options, each with their own advantages and considerations. Now let's move on to something that might seem like the best of both worlds, the hybrid cloud. As the name implies, a hybrid cloud is an environment that integrates both private and public cloud infrastructures. Imagine it as a bridge that links the controlled, dedicated environment of a private cloud with the scalable, flexible nature of a public cloud. Hybrid cloud solutions allow organizations to run core sensitive workloads on a private cloud while tapping into the vast resources of the public cloud for less critical applications or for scaling out during peak usage times. One historical example that illustrates this concept well is SQL Stretch Database. This service allowed you to host a local database that could seamlessly extend into the cloud when additional storage was required. Even though SQL Stretch Database has been deprecated in recent years, it perfectly encapsulated the hybrid model. You retained your core data on premises for performance and security reasons, but you could tap into the cloud for expansion without having to manage complex data migration processes manually. The hybrid cloud approach provides a lot of flexibility. Suppose you have an on premises data center with specialized hardware optimized for your enterprise applications, but you also experience occasional spikes in demand or need to leverage advanced analytics and machine learning tools available only in the public cloud. With a hybrid cloud, you can process your most sensitive or mission critical workloads on your private cloud while offloading less sensitive processing tasks to the public cloud. This balance can result in cost savings and improved performance since you're only paying for extra resources when you really need them. Moreover, it offers a smooth path for gradual migration. An organization might start with a primarily private environment due to legacy constraints and then migrate parts of its workload over time to a public cloud as applications are refactored or modernized. However, managing a hybrid cloud also brings its own set of challenges. Integrating disparate environments means you have to deal with varying security policies, different management tools, and potential latency issues between the private and public parts of your infrastructure. Interoperability is key, and that's why leading cloud providers offer tools and services designed to bridge these gaps. For example, Azure Arc allows you to manage and secure resources across on premises, multi cloud, and edge environments using a unified interface. This kind of tool is essential if you want to avoid the common pitfalls of a hybrid setup where complexity can sometimes undermine the potential benefits. Now, one of the requirements for the exam is to be able to compare and contrast these three cloud models. Let's pause for a moment and really break it down. The public cloud is available to anyone. You don't need special permission or an invitation to use it. You simply create an account and provide payment information like a credit card. Even if you establish an enterprise agreement directly with a provider like Microsoft, which might include Azure credits and various licensing benefits, it's still fundamentally a public cloud. The infrastructure is shared among many customers, and while vendors invest heavily in security and isolation technologies, you must always operate on the principle that your data is stored on infrastructure that many others share. The private cloud, on the other hand, is exclusive. It requires an invitation or special access. Whether you own the hardware, lease it exclusively, or have access to a dedicated environment provided by a vendor, private clouds offer a higher level of control. This means you get the benefits of improved security and compliance because the resources are not shared with any other organizations. However, this exclusivity comes at a cost. You're often responsible for managing and maintaining a significant portion of the stack. Even if you buy a managed private cloud solution, the level of customization and control means you need to invest more effort into managing that environment. And then there's the hybrid cloud, which aims to marry the strengths of both the public and private models while mitigating some of the drawbacks. The hybrid model leverages the security, control, and compliance of a private cloud while tapping into the public cloud for its agility, scalability, and cost efficiency. The idea is to use your private cloud for sensitive, mission critical applications that require the highest level of security, and then use the public cloud to extend your capacity, run less sensitive workloads, or take advantage of specialized services that might not be available in your private setup. Think of it as having a secure vault for your most valuable assets at home, but also having a nearby bank branch you can visit when you need extra resources or services that you don't have at home. This blend not only offers operational flexibility, but also strategic benefits. For example, if you have a sudden spike in traffic on your website or a seasonal increase in demand for computational power during a product launch, you can leverage the public cloud to scale out your operations temporarily. This means that you don't have to maintain a large private cloud infrastructure that sits idle most of the time. Instead, you use your private environment as a stable, secure base and then extend into the public cloud when you need that extra burst of performance or capacity. Now, let's spend some time thinking about why these distinctions matter. When you choose a cloud strategy, you're not just picking a platform, you're choosing an operating model that will affect everything from how you manage security and compliance to how you plan for disaster recovery and even how you negotiate contracts. If you're using a public cloud, you must trust the provider to secure their infrastructure while you focus on your data and applications. If you're running a private cloud, you have much more control, but that means you're also assuming more operational responsibilities. And with a hybrid cloud, while you get the best of both worlds, you also have to manage the complexity that comes with operating in multiple environments. Let's circle back to the practical side of things for a moment. Suppose you're preparing for the exam, and one of the objectives is to compare and contrast these cloud models effectively. Think about it this way: the public cloud is like a hotel, open to everyone, where the building is managed by someone else, leaving you to manage your room. It's convenient, scalable, and cost efficient, especially if you're not certain about your long term needs. The private cloud, however, is like owning your own house. It's secure, fully under your control, and tailored to your requirements, but it requires a lot more upfront investment in both time and money, as well as ongoing maintenance. And then the hybrid cloud is like having a vacation home in addition to your primary residence. You can choose to stay in your secure home for regular needs, but when you're on holiday or need an extra space for special occasions, you can switch over to the vacation home, which might have different amenities or serve a specific purpose. For a business, these choices have significant financial and operational implications. With a public cloud, costs are typically operational expenditures, OPEX, where you pay as you go. This model can be very attractive for startups or companies with fluctuating demand because it avoids the large capital expenses, CapEx, associated with buying and maintaining your own hardware. However, when you move to a private cloud, even if it is outsourced through a managed service provider, you're often looking at higher fixed costs, along with the need to manage and secure the infrastructure on an ongoing basis. Security, compliance, performance, and cost are interdependent factors that drive the decision between these models. In some industries, you might have no choice but to utilize a private cloud simply because regulations mandate that data be stored in a dedicated environment. In other sectors, public cloud solutions might be more than sufficient, provided you implement the necessary security measures on your end, such as encryption, network segmentation, and strong identity management practices. Hybrid clouds, for their part, provide the flexibility to keep sensitive data in-house while still enjoying the benefits of cloud agility, but they require robust interconnection solutions like secure, high-speed VPNs or dedicated links to ensure that the environments work seamlessly together. One of the notable trends in cloud computing over the last few years has been a move towards hybrid solutions. Companies that once relied solely on private clouds or on-premises data centers are increasingly adopting hybrid strategies as they seek to modernize their IT infrastructure. Hybrid cloud can enable better disaster recovery solutions by replicating critical data across both private and public infrastructures. It can also facilitate innovation. For example, an enterprise might keep its customer data within a private cloud for compliance reasons while using artificial intelligence and machine learning services hosted in the public cloud to analyze that data and drive better business insights. Integration tools have become essential in this context. Microsoft, for instance, offers a suite of management and governance tools that work across both private and public environments. Solutions like Azure Arc are designed to help you manage resources from multiple clouds using a unified interface, making it easier to maintain consistency and control even as your infrastructure spans different environments. This kind of hybrid management capability is critical because as you extend your data center into the public cloud, you don't want to lose visibility or control over your resources. Before we wrap up, it's important to reflect on how these cloud models affect your operational mindsets. When you're thinking about using the public cloud, you're embracing the idea that infrastructure is a utility, powerful, flexible, and available on demand. This requires a shift from owning assets to paying for performance and consumption. With a private cloud, you're assuming a level of responsibility that's more akin to traditional IT management, where you own the assets and have to plan for their maintenance and upgrades. With the hybrid cloud, you're taking on a role that involves balancing these two perspectives, exploiting the scalability and cost benefits of the public cloud while managing the control and security of a private environment. Each approach demands a different set of tools, a different way of thinking, and a different operational strategy. Whether you're dealing with issues of network configuration, data sovereignty, regulatory compliance, or performance tuning, The cloud model you choose will fundamentally shape your IT strategy. And as you prepare for the exam, make sure you internalize not just the definitions of public, private, and hybrid clouds, but also the practical, operational, and strategic implications of each. To sum it up, the public cloud is widely available, scalable, and cost-effective, ideal for rapid growth and dynamic workloads. The private cloud, while offering greater control and enhanced security for sensitive data, demands more in terms of management and investment. And the hybrid cloud, by combining both, allows you to optimize and balance your workload between high security and high flexibility, provided you're prepared to handle the additional complexity that comes with integration. As we conclude this discussion, think about your own or your organization's needs. Are you a startup that benefits most from a public cloud's flexibility? Or maybe you're operating in a highly regulated industry that necessitates a private cloud environment. Perhaps a hybrid model is the best fit if you need the best of both worlds. Understanding these differences is not only crucial for the exam, but will also influence the strategic decisions you make in your career as you design, deploy, and manage cloud environments. In our next part of the course, we'll build on these ideas by exploring how to architect solutions in these varied environments. We'll look at practical scenarios, best practices, and real-world case studies that illustrate the challenges and opportunities each cloud model presents. So, keep these concepts in mind as you think about the broader landscape of cloud computing, because they're the foundation upon which everything else is built. Thanks for staying with me through this deep dive into public, private, and hybrid clouds. As always, if you have any questions or need further clarification on any of these points, don't hesitate to reach out. Let's continue on this journey of understanding together, and I look forward to our next session where we further unravel the complexities of cloud architecture.